Hello everybody, welcome on in, welcome on in. I hope you're all having a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night wherever you are in the world. I hope you're all taking care of yourselves today. We are doing a little bit more story time today. We did a little experiment about a week ago and I had a lot of fun reading to you all, so we're going to carry on with the book we started last stream. We're going to read a bit more of Good Omens. No comfy chair? Unfortunately not for the 3D model. I was very busy getting my book set up. I was going to say I had to, this is a very, very rare tome I'm holding in my hand right here. See? See? Very rare book. So, yes, we just had to make sure that we were prepared. A very flat one. It is, it's very compact. Very compact. More pages to it than you would think. It's all very small font as well, so there's lots of words. It'll take us a while to get through it, don't worry. Anyway. But yeah, so we're just gonna carry on with where we got to. We just finished the chapter where they were trying to work out which baby was which in terms of doing the swap for the Antichrist. Ah, dear. Anyway, hopefully it'll all be okay. So, and the goddamn mile-long name. Yes, we remember the very long name. We'll carry on from the next chapter. So, Anathema Device, her mother, who was not a great student of religious matters, happened to read the word one day and thought it was a lovely name for a girl. She was 8.5 years old, and she was reading the book under the bedclothes with a torch. Other children learned to read on basic primers with coloured pictures of apples, balls, cockroaches, and so forth, but not the Device family. Anathema had learned to read from the book. It didn't have any apples and balls in it. It did have a rather good 18th century woodcut of Agnes Nutter being burned at the stake and looking rather cheerful about it. The first word she could recognise was nice. Very few people at the age of 8.5 know that nice also means scrupulously exact. Anathema was one of them. The second word was accurate. The first sentence she had ever read out loud was, "I tell ye this, and I charge ye with my words. 4 shall ride, and 4 shall also ride, and 3 shall ride the sky as twixt, and 1 shall ride in flames, and there shall be no stopping them, nor fish, nor rain, nor road, neither devil nor angel, and ye shall be there also, Anathema." Anathema liked to read about herself. There were books which caring parents who read the right Sunday papers could purchase with their children's names printed in as the heroine or hero. This was meant to interest the child in the book. In Anathema's case, it wasn't only her in the book, and it had been spot on so far, but her parents and her grandparents and everyone back to the 17th century. She was too young and too self-centered at this point to attach any importance to the fact that there was no mention made of her children, or indeed any events in her future further away than 11 years' time. When you're 8.5, 11 years is a lifetime, and of course, if you believed the book, it would be. She was a bright child with a pale face and black eyes and hair. As a rule, she tended to make people feel uncomfortable, a family trait she had inherited, along with being more psychic than was good for her, from her great-great-great-great-great grandmother. She was precocious and self-possessed. The only thing about anathema her teachers ever had the nerve to upbraid her for was her spelling, which was not so much appalling as 300 years too late. The nuns took baby A and swapped it with baby B under the noses of the attache's wife and the Secret Service men by the cunning expedient of wheeling one baby away. To be weighed, love. Got to do that. It's the law. And wheeling another baby back a little later. Dragon Master, welcome on in. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for a second. Thank you for daily check-in as well. It's lovely to see you here. Hope you're having a good day. We're just doing a little bit of, we're just carrying on with reading Good Omens. Yeah, just relaxing, taking it nice and easy today. No stress, no chaos, just nice and calm and relaxed. The cultural attaché himself, Thaddeus J. Dowling, had been called back to Washington in a hurry a few days earlier. But he had been on the phone to Miss Dowling throughout the birth experience, helping her with her breathing. Thank you for the luck, Dragon. I appreciate you being here. It didn't help that he had been talking on the other line to his investment counselor. At one point, he'd been forced to put her on hold for 20 minutes. But that was okay. Having a baby is the single most joyous co-experience that two human beings can share. He wasn't going to miss a second of it. He'd got one of the Secret Service men to videotape it for him. Evil in general does not sleep, and therefore doesn't see why anyone else should. But Crowley liked sleep. It was one of the pleasures of the world, especially after a heavy meal. He'd slept right through most of the 19th century, for example, not because he needed to, simply because he enjoyed it. Although he did have to get up in 1832 to go to the lavatory. One of the pleasures of the world. Well, he'd better start really enjoying them now, while there was still time. The Bentley roared through the night, heading east. Of course, he was all in favour of Armageddon in general terms. If anyone had asked him why he'd been spending centuries tinkering in the affairs of mankind, he'd have said, "Oh, in order to bring about Armageddon and the triumph of hell." It was one thing to work to bring it about, and quite another for it to actually happen. Crowley had always known that he would be around when the world ended, because he was immortal and wouldn't have any alternative. But he'd hoped it would be a long way off, because he rather liked people. It was a major failing in Demon. Oh, he did his best to make their short lives miserable because that was his job. But nothing he could think up was half as bad as the stuff that they thought up themselves. They seemed to have a talent for it. It was built into the design somehow. They were born into a world that was against them in 1,000 little ways, and then devoted most of their energies into making it worse. Over the years, Crowley had found it increasingly difficult to find anything demonic to do which showed up against the natural background of generalized nastiness. There had been times over the past millennium when he felt like sending a message back down below saying, "Look, we may as well give up right now. We might as well shut down Dis and Pandemonium and everywhere." And move up here. There's nothing we can do to them that they don't do themselves, and they do things we've never even thought of, often involving electrodes. They've got what we lack. They've got imagination. And electricity, of course. One of them had written it, hadn't he? Hell is empty, and all the devils are here. Crowley had got a commendation for the Spanish Inquisition. He had been in Spain then, mainly hanging around cantinas in the nicer parts, and hadn't even known about it until the commendation arrived. He'd gone to have a look, and had come back and got drunk for a week. That Hieronymus Bosch, what a weirdo. And just when you think they were more malignant than even hell could be, They could occasionally show more grace than heaven ever dreamed of. Often the same individual was involved. It was this free will thing, of course. It was a bugger. Aziraphale had tried to explain it to him once. The whole point, he'd said, this was somewhere around 1020, when they'd first reached their little agreement. The whole point was that when a human was good or bad, it was because they wanted to be, whereas people like Crowley, and of course himself, were set in their ways right from the start. People couldn't become truly holy, he said, unless they also had the opportunity to be definitively wicked. Crowley had thought about this for some time, and around about 1023 had said, "Hang on, that only works, right, if you start everyone off equal, okay? You can't start someone off in a muddy shack in the middle of a war zone and expect them to do as well as someone born in a castle." "Ah," Aziraphale said, "that's the good bit. The lower you start, the more opportunities you have." Hey Tobias, how's it going? Hope you're having a good day. Welcome on in. I appreciate you joining us. We're doing a little bit of reading today. We're just relaxing, taking it nice and easy. We have our book. We are ready. Hey Sakura, welcome on in as well. I appreciate you being here too. Thank you very much for joining us. Oh god, honestly. Yes, we are just reading Good Omens by Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett. It's one of my favourite books. I thoroughly enjoyed it. If you've watched the TV series, you will roughly know the story. But I wholeheartedly recommend that you read the book as well. It's an excellent book. Crowley had said, "That's lunatic." "No," said Aziraphale. "It's ineffable." Aziraphale, the enemy of course, but an enemy for 6,000 years now, which made him a sort of friend. Crowley reached down and picked up the car phone. Being a demon, of course, was supposed to mean you had no free will, but you couldn't hang around humans for very long without learning a thing or two. I thought there would be alert. Don't worry, Sakura. I've switched off alerts while we're just relaxing. I have thought about this in advance. But no, you're fine to do any redeems you wish. They will be nice and quiet and calm and relaxed. My model might still have an effect as a result of those redeems, but there shouldn't be any loud noises or any disturbances. So we can just be calm and relax. But don't worry, it's all good. Happy to be here for the chill vibes. The model is safe. I appreciate that. Sakura. I hope your stream went well today. I managed to catch a bit of it after I got home from work. Hope you had fun. Nice to see you streaming again. Mr. Young had not been too keen on Damien or Wormwood or any of Sister Mary Loquacious's other suggestions, which had covered half of hell and most of the golden years of Hollywood. "Well," she said finally, a little hurt, "I don't think there's anything wrong with Errol or Carrie. Very nice American names, both of them. I had fancied something more, well, traditional," explained Mr. Young. "We've always gone in for good, simple names in our family." Sister Mary beamed. "That's right. The old names are always the best if you ask me. Decent English name, like people had in the Bible," said Mr. Young. "Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John," he said speculatively. Sister Mary winced. "Only they've never struck me as the very good Bible names, really," Mr. Young added. "They sound more like cowboys and footballers." "Saul's nice," said Sister Mary, making the best of it. "I don't want anything too old-fashioned," said Mr. Young. "Or Cain. Very modern sound. Cain, really." Sister Mary tried. Mr. Young looked doubtful. "Or there's always... well, there's always Adam," said Sister Mary. That should be safe enough, she thought. Adam? Said Mr. Young. Much fun and nonsense was had. Thank you for stopping by. It's quite alright. It's quite alright, Sakura. Like I said, always happy to show up and show some support. It would be nice to think that Satanist nuns had the surplus baby, Baby B, discreetly adopted. That he grew to be a normal, happy, laughing child, active and exuberant, and after that grew further to become a normal, fairly contented adult. And perhaps that's what happened. Hey Erie, welcome on in. Thank you very much for joining us today. I hope you're having a good day. We are just doing a little bit more reading today. Just relaxing, taking it nice and easy. But yes, we're carrying on with reading Good Omens by Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett. Should be a lot of fun. So yes. Anyway, but yes, so we will, like I said, we're just getting through it. And perhaps that's what happened. Let your mind dwell on his junior school prize for spelling, his unremarkable, although quite pleasant time at university, his job in the payroll department of the Tadfield and Northern Building Society, his lovely wife. Possibly you would like to imagine some children and a hobby, restoring vintage motorcycles perhaps, or breeding tropical fish. You don't want to know what could happen to Baby B. We like your version better anyway. He probably wins prizes for his tropical fish. Hello, I'm about to drive, but I shall listen along. That's quite alright, Erie. Please stay safe. I hope you have a safe and comfortable drive. And yeah, I was going to say, feel free to join in whenever you can. But yeah, stay safe, and I hope to speak with you soon. In a small house in Dorking, Surrey, a light was on in a bedroom window. Newton Pulsifer was 12 and thin and bespectacled, and he should have been in bed hours ago. His mother, though, was convinced of her child's genius and let him stay up past his bedtime to do his experiments. His current experiment was changing a plug on an ancient Bakelite radio his mother had given him to play with. He sat at what he proudly called his worktop, a battered old table covered in curls of wires, batteries, little light bulbs, and a homemade crystal set that had never worked. He hadn't managed to get the Bakelite radio working yet either, but then again, he never seemed able to get that far. 3 slightly crooked metal aeroplanes hung on cotton cords from his bedroom ceiling. Even a casual observer could have seen that they were made by someone who was both painstaking and very careful, and also no good at making model aeroplanes. He was hopelessly proud of all of them, even the Spitfire, where he'd made rather a mess of the wings. He pushed his glasses back up the bridge of his nose, squinted down at the plug, and put down the screwdriver. He had high hopes for it this time. He had followed all the instructions on plug changing on page 5 of the boy's own book of practical electronics, including 101 safe and educational things to do with electricity. Hey Snowy, welcome on in. I appreciate you being here. Hope you're having a good day. Thank you very much for the care package. I will, let me take care of that quickly now. I'll have a quick drink, a bit of water. Lovely. Thank you very much. And we will now do a quick posture check. And we'll do a stretch. Much better. Thank you, Snowy. Thank you for the care package. I appreciate the support. He had attached the correct color-coded wires to the correct pins. He checked that it was the right amperage fuse. He'd screwed it all back together. So far, no problems. He plugged it into the socket. Then he switched the socket on. Every light in the house went out. Newton beamed with pride. He was getting better. Last time he'd done it, he'd blacked out the whole of Dorking. And a man from the electric had come over and had a word with his mum. Thank you for the lurk, Snowy. I appreciate it. Maybe I'll be back. There's no worries, Snowy. Like I said, I appreciate you coming in. Oh dear, honestly. He had a burning and totally unrequited passion for things electrical. They had a computer at school, and half a dozen studious children stayed on after school doing things with punched cards. When the teacher in charge of the computer had finally acceded to Newton's pleas to be allowed to join them, Newton had only ever got to feed one little card into the machine. It had chewed it up and choked fatally on it. Newton was certain that the future was in computers, and when the future arrived, he'd be ready, in the forefront of the new technology. The future had its own ideas on this. It was all in the book. Adam, thought Mr. Young. He tried saying it to see how it sounded. Adam. He stared down at the golden curls of the adversary, destroyer of kings, angel of the bottomless pit, great beast that is called dragon, prince of this world, father of lies, spawn of Satan, and lord of darkness. You know, he concluded after a while, I think he actually looks like an Adam. It had not been a dark and stormy night. The dark and stormy night occurred 2 days later, about 4 hours after Miss Dowling and Miss Young and their respective babies had left the building. It was a particularly dark and stormy night, and just after midnight, as the storm reached its height, a bolt of lightning struck the Covenant of the Chattering Order, setting fire to the roof of the vestry. No one was badly hurt by the fire, but it went on for some hours, doing a fair amount of damage in the process. The instigator of the fire lurked on a nearby hilltop and watched the blaze. Tall, thin, and a Duke of Hell, it was the last thing that needed to be done before he returned to the Nether regions, and he had done it. He could safely leave the rest to Crowley. Aster went home. Thank God, a name that isn't a mile long. Yes, Adam is a much simpler name than the adversary, destroyer of kings, angel of the bottomless pit, great beast that is called dragon, prince of the world, father of lies, spawn of Satan, and lord of darkness. Yes, Adam's a much better name. Technically, Aziraphale was a principality, but people made jokes about that these days. On the whole, neither he nor Crowley would have chosen each other's company, but they were both men, or at least men-shaped creatures of the world, and this arrangement had worked to their advantage all this time. Besides, you grew accustomed to the only other face that had been around more or less consistently for 6 millennia. Oh, guys, we have ads coming in about 2.5 minutes. As usual, when the ads come in, I will put us onto the BRB screen so that nobody misses anything. Please use the opportunity while the ads are playing to grab a drink, stretch your legs, take care of yourself, do whatever you need to do. And after the ads have played, we will have an hour of no ads whatsoever. But we will keep reading until the ads start. The arrangement was very simple. So simple, in fact, that it didn't really deserve the capital letter, which it had got for simply being in existence for so long. It was the sort of sensible arrangement that many isolated agents working in awkward conditions a long way from their supervisors reach with their opposite number when they realize that they have more in common with their immediate opponents than their remote allies. It meant a tacit non-interference in certain of each other's activities. It made certain that while neither really won Also, neither really lost, and both were able to demonstrate to their masters the great strides they were making against a cunning and well-informed adversary. It meant that Crowley had been allowed to develop Manchester, while Aziraphale had a free hand in the whole of Shropshire. Crowley took Glasgow, Aziraphale had Edinburgh. Neither claimed any responsibility for Milton Keynes, but both reported it as a success. Note for Americans and other aliens, Milton Keynes is a new city approximately halfway between London and Birmingham. It was built to be modern, efficient, healthy, and all in all a pleasant place to live. Many Britons find this amusing. And then of course it had seemed even natural that they should, as it were, hold the fort for one another whenever common sense dictated. Both were of angel stock after all. If one was going to Hull for a quick temptation, it made sense to nip across the city and carry out a standard, brief moment of divine ecstasy. It'd get done anyway, and being sensible about it gave everyone more free time and cut down on the expenses. Aziraphale felt the occasional pang of guilt about this, but centuries of association with humanity was having the same effect on him as it was on Crowley, except in the other direction. Clearly, yes, Emmy, yes. Right, guys, the ads are about to start, so I'm going to put this onto the BRB screen. As I said, please stretch your legs, go grab a drink while the ads are playing. We will be back in 2 or 3 minutes, and then we will carry on reading for another hour with no ads interruptions.
No, you got me backed up in the corner. Oh no, chat. Help me. Help me, he's got me backed up in the corner. Oh no, this is so tragic. This is so tragic. This
oh
is
yeah,
so tragic.
you seem really broken
What
up.
am I gonna do?
I could do the anime trope, be like the.
Oh.
Oh hey. You good?
Wow, spicy.
Wow.
Look, chat's feeling uncomfortable.
You did this. You started this.
Okay, it's fine. It's fine. Let me try doing the. Let me try and do. Hang on. Give me 2 seconds. Wait. Hey guys, wait, where have I got loading? No, you just ruined my intro. God damn it.
No! Why? I have so many questions!
I did
Did you
not.
see that, chat? Hey.
Now I lifted you up.
Back.
Don't you? What are you doing? What are you doing? Stop it.
They're going.
No.
They're
No.
going.
Let me kidnap you. Let me kidnap
No
you.
hit pass for you then. No.
What?
No hit pass for you.
Harsh. I'm cool for.
You have been a worthy adversary, but unfortunately I'm a spoon. Oh, I'm a spoon. I read the second word of the first word. Not spoon. We're not spooning. No, I must soon put you to death.
In the way.
No, you're not.
Should
You're fine. No, you're fine.
Are you sure?
Yes,
taking
I'm
the
sure.
whole
No, you're not. You're fine. Shut up.
Don't tell me to shut up.
Because you're doubting yourself, and if you doubt yourself, I'm going to tell you to shut up.
Why,
Okay.
Why did I think you said daddy?
Wait, what? Who said daddy? Oh, I said doubting yourself. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm your sugar daddy or anything, but
Shut your mouth. You are not.
If Olympus, if your
do you blip? Blip.
not even
Well, if I'm giving you so much disrespect, then there would be no chance of you dumping subs on me tonight. Cause as a sugar baby, as you say I am, I shouldn't be disrespecting you.
Confession. That's confession. 100%. Clip
It's not a
that. Emmy. Clip
This is
that.
not a
Clip
confession.
that.
It's
Clip
not a
that.
confession.
Clip it. Clipping it. Good job, Ronan. Thank you, Ronan. Nope. Fuck you. Nope, don't like that. Nope. Oh, God. Yeah. Don't like that. You did this to me. You.
Yes.
That, play the bullfrog there. I don't have many cards. I need to break open that one. Okay, welcome back everybody, welcome back. Thank you for bearing with us through the ad breaks. We now have no ads for another hour, so we can just relax, enjoy the book, and take it nice and easy. Besides, the authorities didn't seem to care much who did anything, so long as it got done. Currently, what Aziraphale was doing was standing with Crowley by the duck pond in St. James's Park. They were feeding the ducks. The ducks in St. James's Park are so used to being fed bread by secret agents, meeting clandestinely, that they have developed their own Pavlovian reaction. Put a St. James's Park duck in a laboratory cage and show it a picture of two men, one usually wearing a coat with a fur collar, the other something somber with a scarf, and it'll look up expectantly. The Russian cultural attache's black bread is particularly sought after by the more discerning duck, while the head of MI9's soggy Hovis with Marmite is relished by the connoisseurs. Aziraphale tossed a crust to a scruffy-looking drake, which caught it and sank immediately. The angel turned to Crowley. "Really, my dear," he murmured. "Sorry," said Crowley. "I was forgetting myself." Duck bobbed angrily to the surface. "Of course, we knew something was going on," Aziraphale said, "but one somehow imagines this sort of thing happening in America. They go in for that sort of thing over there." Explosive, welcome on in. Thank you very much for your daily check-in. I appreciate you being here. I hope you're having a good day. As you can see, we are doing a little bit of reading today. Just nice and calm, nice and relaxed. Because we usually play Dredge on a Monday, and we have now finished Dredge, I am just doing some reading as a placeholder. We may keep doing reading on a Monday. We will see. We might find another game or something to do on a Monday. But for now, we're just relaxing, and we're just reading Good Omens. So, "It might yet do at that," said Crowley gloomily. He gazed thoughtfully across the park to the Bentley, the back wheel of which was being industriously clamped. "Oh yes, the American diplomat," said the angel. "Rather showy, one feels, as if Armageddon was some sort of cinematographic show that you wish to sell in as many countries as possible." "Every country," said Crowley. "The earth and all the kingdoms thereof." Aziraphale tossed the last scrap of bread at the ducks, who went off to pester the Bulgarian naval attaché and a furtive-looking man in a Cambridge tie, and carefully disposed of the paper bag in a wastepaper bin. He turned and faced Crowley. "We'll win, of course," he said. "You don't want that," said the demon. "Why not, pray?" "Listen," said Crowley desperately. How many musicians do you think your side have got, eh? First grade, I mean." Aziraphale looked taken aback. "Well, I should think," he began. "Two," said Crowley. "Elgar and Liszt, that's all. We've got the rest. Beethoven, Brahms, all the Bachs, Mozart, the lot. Can you imagine eternity with Elgar?" Aziraphale shut his eyes. "All too easily," he groaned. "I just got back from last class for today, so I am free." Explosive, I'm glad to hear that. I hope you can now relax and just take it easy for the rest of the day. Yes, just relax. No stress. And yeah. "That's it then," said Crowley, a gleam of triumph. He knew Aziraphale's weak spot all right. No more compact discs, no more Albert Hall, no more proms, no more Glyndebourne, just celestial harmonies all day long. "Ineffable," Aziraphale murmured. "Like eggs without salt, you said. Which reminds me, no salt, no eggs, No gravel axe with dill sauce. No fascinating little restaurants where they know you. No Daily Telegraph crossword. No small antique shops. No bookshops either. No interesting old editions. No. Crowley scraped the bottom of Aziraphale's barrel of interests. Regency silver snuff boxes. But after we win, life will be better, croaked the angel. But it won't be as interesting. Look, you know I'm right. You'd be as happy with a harp as I'd be with a pitchfork. You know we don't play harps. And we don't use pitchforks. I was being rhetorical. They stared at one another. Aziraphale spread his elegantly manicured hands. My people are more than happy for it to happen, you know. It's what it's all about, you see. The great final test. Flaming sword. The 4 horsemen. Seas of blood. The whole tedious business, he shrugged. And then... game over. Insert coin, said Crowley. Sometimes I find your methods of expression a little difficult to follow. I like the seas as they are. It doesn't have to happen. You don't have to test everything to destruction just to see if you made it right. Aziraphale shrugged again. That's ineffable wisdom for you, I'm afraid. The angel shuddered and pulled his coat around him. Grey clouds were piling up over the city. Let's go somewhere warm, he said. You're asking me? Said Crowley glumly. They walked in somber silence for a while. It's not that I disagree with you, said the angel as they plodded across the grass. It's just that I'm not allowed to disobey. You know that. Me too, said Crowley. Aziraphale gave him a sidelong glance. Oh, come now, he said. You're a demon after all. Yeah, but my people are only in favour of disobedience in general terms. It's specific disobedience they've come down on heavily. Such as disobedience to themselves? You've got it. You'd be amazed. Or perhaps you wouldn't be. How long do you think we've got? Crowley waved a hand at the Bentley, which unlocked the doors. The prophecies differ, said Aziraphale, sliding into the passenger seat. Certainly until the end of the century, though we may expect certain phenomena before then. Most of the prophets of the past millennium were more concerned with scansion than accuracy. Hey Savern, welcome on in, thank you for joining us, thank you very much for Third, and thank you for your daily check-in. Hope you're having a good day. We are doing a little bit of reading, mostly because we finished Dredge last week, so I don't currently have anything to play on a Monday, or at least I haven't decided on anything. So for now, I'm just filling the space with some reading, so we can all just relax and chill out for a bit. Ah, Good Omens, good one. You've watched the series, excellent, excellent. I love. I read the book first, and I was very happy with the TV series when they made it. It was very, very well done. If you haven't read the book, I honestly, I wholeheartedly recommend it. It's an excellent book. There's lots of little side notes that they hide in the headers and the footers of the pages, which just are very entertaining. Anyway. Crowley pointed to the ignition key. It turned. What? He said. You know, said the angel helpfully. And the world unto an end shall come in trumpety, trumpety, trumpety 1, or 2, or 3, or whatever. There aren't many good rhymes for 6, so it's probably a good year to be in. And what sort of phenomena? 2-headed calves, signs in the sky, geese flying backwards, showers of fish, that sort of thing. Presence of the Antichrist affects the natural operation of causality. Crowley put the Bentley in gear. Then he remembered something. He snapped his fingers. Pigu, thank you very much for the bongo cat. I appreciate it. Thank you for being here. We're just relaxing, doing a nice bit of reading. Honestly. Then he remembered something. He snapped his fingers. The wheel clamps disappeared. Let's have lunch, he said. I owe you one from... when was it? Paris, 1793, said Aziraphale. Oh yes, the Reign of Terror. Was that one of yours or one of ours? Wasn't it yours? I can't recall. It's quite a good restaurant, though. As they drove past an astonished traffic warden, his notebook spontaneously combusted to Crowley's amazement. I'm pretty certain I didn't mean to do that, he said. Aziraphale blushed. That was me, he said. I had always thought that your people invented them. Did you? We thought they were yours. Crowley stared at the smoke in the rearview mirror. Come on, he said. Let's do the Ritz. Crowley had not bothered to book. In his world, table reservations were things that happened to other people. Not really a cat. It's a fox. It has ears. It is fluffy. Like my little buddy on my shoulder here. Was that you? Thought that was you. Yes. It's like I said, it's an excellent book. It's an excellent book, Emmy. There's loads of bits and pieces like that which I just love. Aziraphale collected books. If he were totally honest with himself, he would have to have admitted that his bookshop was simply somewhere to store them. He was not unusual in this. In order to maintain his cover as a typical second-hand bookseller, he used every means short of actual physical violence to prevent customers from making a purchase. Unpleasant damp smells, glowering looks, erratic opening hours. He was incredibly good at it. Just a short visit tonight, unfortunately. A way to get some needed rest, but take care all and enjoy stream. Sakura, that's quite alright. I appreciate you being here. Please... Oh god, I've got the hiccups now. I'll have to have a water, hang on. But yes, Sakura, please do take care of yourself. Get some rest. I appreciate you coming in. I hope the rest of your night goes okay, and I hope you're able to get some rest. Hope it's on a service I do have. We yeeted Netflix out of the house in 2020. I think it's Amazon Prime. I think that's what Good Omens is currently on. So if you have that, then you should be fine. Lovely. That you do have. Excellent. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that, Amy. In order to maintain his cover as a typical second-hand bookseller, he used every means short of actual violence to prevent customers from making a purchase. Unpleasant damp, glaring looks, erratic opening hours. He was incredibly good at it. He'd been collecting for a long time, and like all collectors, he specialized. He had more than 60 books of predictions concerning developments in the last handful of centuries of the second millennium. He had a penchant for wild first editions, and he had a complete set of the infamous Bibles, individually named from errors in the typesetting. These Bibles included the Unrighteous Bible, so called from printer's error, which caused it to proclaim in Corinthians 1, "Know ye not that the unrighteous shall inherit the kingdom of God?" And the Wicked Bible, printed by Barker and Lucas in 1632, in which the word "not" was omitted from the 7th commandment, making it, "Thou shalt commit adultery." There were the Discharge Bible, the Treacle Bible, and the Standing Fishes Bible, the Charging Cross Bible, and the rest. Aziraphale had them all. Even the very rarest, a Bible published in 1651 by the London publishing firm of Bilton and Skaggs. It had been the first of their 3 great publishing disasters. The book was commonly known as the Bugger All This Bible. The lengthy compositor's error, if such may be called, occurs in Book of Ezekiel, chapter 48, verse 5. 2. By the border of Dan, from the east side to the west side, a portion for Apher. And by the border of Apher, from the east side even unto to the west side, a portion for Naphtali. And by the border of Naphtali, from the east side unto the west side, a portion for Manasseh. Bugger all this for a lark. I am sick to my heart of type-fitting. Master Bilton, if no gentleman, and Master Skaggs more than a tight-fisted Southwark knobbed figure, I tell you, on a day like this, anyone with half an ounce of sense should be out in the sunshine, and not stuck here all the livelong day in this mouldy old By Our Lady workshop. And by the border of Ephraim, from the east side even unto the west side, a portion for Reuben. Yeah, Amazon has it, 97% sure. Thank you, Safan. Thank you for confirming. I appreciate that. The Bugger All This Bible was also noteworthy for having 27 verses in the 3rd chapter of Genesis instead of the more usual 24. They followed verse 24, which in the King James Version reads, So he drove out the man, and he placed at the east of the Garden of Eden cherubims, and a flaming sword which turned every way to keep the way of the tree of life, and read, And the Lord spoke unto the angel that guarded the eastern gate, saying, Where is the flaming sword which was given unto thee? And the angel said, I had it here only a moment ago. I must have put it down somewhere, to get my own head next. And the Lord did not ask him again. It appears these verses were inserted during the proof stage. In those days it was common practice for printers to hang proof sheets to the wooden beams outside their shops, for the edification of the populace and some free proofreading, and since the whole print run was subsequently burned anyway, no one bothered to take up this matter with the very nice Mr. A. Zeraphale, who ran the bookshop 2 doors along, and was always so helpful with the translations, and whose handwriting was instantaneously recognizable. Oh dear. Bilton and Skaggs' second great publishing disaster occurred in 1653. By a stroke of rare good fortune, they had obtained one of the famed Lost Quarters. The 3 Shakespeare plays never reissued in folio edition, now totally lost to scholars and playgoers. Only their names have come down to us. This one was Shakespeare's earliest play, the comedy of Robin Hood, or The Forest of Sherwood. The other 2 are The Trapping of the Mouse and Gold Diggers of 1589. Master Bilton had paid almost 6 guineas for the quarto. He believed he could make nearly twice that much back on the hardcover folio alone. Then he lost it. Bilton and Skaggs' third great publishing disaster was never entirely comprehensible to either of them. Everywhere you looked, books of prophecy were selling like crazy. The English edition of Nostradamus' Centuries had just gone into its 3rd printing, and 5 Nostradamuses, all claiming to be the only genuine one, were on triumphant signing tours. Mother Shipton's collection of prophecies was sprinting out of the shops. Each of the great London publishers, there were 8 of them, had at least one book of prophecy on its list. Every single one of the books was wildly inaccurate, but their air of vague and generalized omnipotence made them immensely popular. They sold in their thousands and in their tens of thousands. It is a license to print money, said Master Bilton to Master Skaggs, who had already had a few thoughts in that direction, and spent the last years of his life in Newgate Prison when he eventually put them into practice. The public was crying out for such rubbish. We must straightway print a book on prophecy by some hag. The manuscript arrived at their door the next morning. The author's sense of timing, it seemed, as always, was exact. Although neither Master Bilton nor Master Skaggs realized it, the manuscript they had been sent was the sole prophetic work in all of human history to consist entirely of completely correct predictions concerning the following 340-odd years, being a precise and accurate description of the events that would culminate in Armageddon. It was on the money in every single detail. It was published by Bilton and Skaggs in September 1655, good time for the Christmas trade. Another masterstroke of publishing genius, because Oliver Cromwell's Puritan Parliament had made Christmas illegal in 1654. And it was the first book printed in England to be remaindered. It didn't sell. Not even the copy in the tiny Lancashire book with local author on a piece of cardboard next to it. The author of the book, one Agnes Nutter, was not surprised by this, but then it would have taken an awful lot to surprise Agnes Nutter. Anyway, she had not written it for the sales, or the royalties, or even for the fame. She had written it for the single gratis copy of the book that an author was entitled to. No one knows what happened to the legions of unsold copies of her book. Certainly, none remain in any museums or private collections. Even Aziraphale does not possess a copy, but would go weak at the knees at the thought of actually getting his exquisitely manicured hands on one. In fact, only one copy of Agnes Nutter's prophecies remain in the entire world. It was on a bookshelf about 40 miles away from where Crowley and Aziraphale were enjoying a rather good lunch. Metaphorically, it had just begun to tick. Apoxera, thank you very much for the follow. I appreciate it. Thank you very much for joining us today. We are just chilling out, relaxing, enjoying a little bit of Good Omens by Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman. This is one of my favourite books. I've enjoyed this for a very long time. I was also a fan of the TV series. I thought they did a very good job. And yeah, so as I said, please feel free to come in and just relax, enjoy the nice comfy vibes, take it nice and easy, and yeah, I appreciate you being here. And now it was 3 o'clock. The Antichrist had been on Earth for 15 hours, and one angel and one demon had been drinking solidly of 3 of them. Thank you very much for the wave. I appreciate it. I was going to say, I appreciate you being here. Thank you very much for joining us. I hope you're all doing okay. I hope you're having a good day, or morning, or afternoon, wherever you are in the world. They sat opposite one another in the back room of Aziraphale's dingy old bookshop in Soho. Most bookshops in Soho have back rooms, and most of the back rooms are filled with rare, or at least very expensive books. But Aziraphale's books didn't have illustrations. They had old brown covers and cracking pages. Occasionally, if he had no alternative, he'd sell one. Ooh. We'll have a quick hydrate. I need to just wet my whistle, per se. Much better, much better. That does the trick. It's the only problem with yapping for an hour non-stop. And occasionally serious men in dark suits would come calling and suggest very politely that perhaps he'd like to sell the bookshop, so that it could be turned into the kind of retail outlet more suited to the area. Sometimes they'd offer cash in large rolls of grubby 50-pound notes, or sometimes while they were talking, other men in dark glasses would wander around the shop, shaking their heads and saying how inflammable paper was and what a fire trap he had here. And Aziraphale would nod and smile and say he'd think about it, and then they'd go away and they'd never come back. I'm good. It's midnight out where I am right now. Feeling so sleepy. How about you? It is starting to get a bit late for us now, but we still have time. We're probably going to read for another hour. But yeah, I was going to say, if you just want to relax, get some rest, that's quite all right. Please make sure you're taking care of yourself. It's very important to me that anybody who comes in here is looking after themselves. I'm always grateful for the support, but the health and well-being of my chat is my primary concern. Just because you're an angel doesn't mean you have to be a fool. The table in front of the two of them was covered with bottles. The point is, said Crowley. The point is. He tried to focus on Aziraphale. The point is, he said, and tried to think of a point. The point I'm trying to make, he said, brightening, is the dolphins. That's my point. Kind of fish, said Aziraphale. No, said Crowley, shaking a finger. It's a mammal. Your actual mammal. Difference is... Crowley waded through the swamp of his mind and tried to remember the difference. Difference is they... mate out of water? Volunteered Aziraphale. Crowley's brow furrowed. Don't think so. Pretty sure that's not it. Something about their young. Whatever, he pulled himself together. The point is, their brains. He reached for a bottle. What about their brains? Said the angel. Big brains. That's my point. Size of damn big brains. And then there's the whales. Brain City. Take it from me. Whole damn sea full of brains. Kraken, said Aziraphale, staring moodily into his glass. Crowley gave him the long, cool look of someone who had just had a girder dropped in front of his train of thought. Great big bugger, said Aziraphale. Sleepeth beneath the thunders of the upper deep, under loads of huge and unnumbered bloody great seaweeds, you know. Supposed to rise to the surface right at the end when the sea boils. Yeah? Fact. There you are then, said Crowley, sitting back. Whole sea bubbling, poor old dolphins, so much seafood gumbo, no one giving a damn. Same with gorillas. Whoops, they say, sky gone all red, stars crashing to the ground. What are they putting in the bananas these days? And then... They make nests, you know, gorillas, said the angel, pouring another drink, managing to hit the glass on the third go. Nah, God's truth. Saw a film. Nests. That's birds, said Crowley. Nests, insisted Aziraphale. Crowley decided not to argue the point. There you are then, he said. All creatures great and small. Great and small. Lots of them. With brains. And then, bazam! But you're part of it, said Aziraphale. You tempt people. You're good at it. Crowley thumped his glass on the table. That's different. They don't have to say yes. That's the ineffable bit, right? Your side made it up. You've got to keep testing people, but not to destruction. Alright. I don't like it any more than you, but I told you, I can't not do what I'm told. I'm an angel. There's no theatres in heaven, said Crowley, and very few films. Don't you try to tempt me, said Aziraphale, wretchedly. I know you, you old serpent. Just you think about it, said Crowley relentlessly. You know what eternity is? You know what eternity is? I mean, do you know what eternity is? There's this big mountain, see, mile high, at the end of the universe, and once every 1,000 years, there's this little bird. What little bird? Said Aziraphale suspiciously. This little bird I'm talking about. And every 1,000 years... The same bird, every 1,000 years. Crowley hesitated. Yeah, he said. I do. Good. Bloody ancient bird then, said Aziraphale. Okay, and every 1,000 years this bird flies, flies all the way to this mountain and sharpens its beak. Hold on, can't do that. Between here, there, and the end of the universe, there's loads of... The angel waved a hand expansively, if a little unsteadily. Loads of bugger all, dear boy. But it gets there anyway, Crowley persevered. How? It doesn't matter. It could use a spaceship, said the angel. Crowley subsided a bit. Yeah, he said. If you like. Anyway, this bird. Only it is the end of the universe we're talking about, said Aziraphale. So it'd have to be one of those spaceships where your descendants are the ones who get out at the other end. You have to tell your descendants. You say, when you get to the mountain, you've got to... He hesitated. What have they got to do? Sharpen its beak on the mountain, said Crowley, and then it flies back. In the spaceship. After 1,000 years it goes and does it all again, said Crowley quickly. There was a moment of drunken silence. Seems a lot of effort just to sharpen a beak, mused Aziraphale. Listen, said Crowley urgently. The point is that when the bird has worn the mountain down to nothing, right? Then Aziraphale opened his mouth. Crowley just knew he was going to make some point about the relative hardness of birds' beaks and granite mountains, and plunged on quickly. Big Tonka, thank you very much for the follow. I appreciate you being here. I hope you're having a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night wherever you are in the world. I hope you're taking care of yourself. Then you still won't have finished watching The Sound of Music. Aziraphale froze. And you'll enjoy it, Crowley said relentlessly. You really will. My dear boy, you won't have a choice. Listen, heaven has no taste. Now, and not one single sushi restaurant. Big Tonka, thank you very much for the head pats. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. We do love the head pats. A look of pain crossed the angel's suddenly very serious face. I can't cope with this while I'm drunk, he said. I'm going to sober up. Me too. They both winced as the alcohol left their bloodstreams and sat up a bit more neatly. Aziraphale straightened his tie. I can't interfere with divine plans, he croaked. Crowley looked speculatively into his glass and then filled it again. What about diabolical ones? He said. Pardon? Well, it's got to be a diabolical plan, hasn't it? We're doing it. My side. Ah, but it's all part of the overall divine plan, said Aziraphale. Your side can't do anything without it being part of the ineffable divine plan, he added, with a trace of smugness. You wish. No, that's the... Aziraphale snapped his fingers irritably. The thing. What did you call it in your colourful idiom? The line at the bottom. The bottom line? Yes, it's that. Well, if you're sure, said Crowley. No doubt about it. Crowley looked up slyly. Then you can't be certain, correct me if I'm wrong, you can't be certain that thwarting it isn't part of the divine plan as well. I mean, you're supposed to thwart the wiles of the evil one at every turn, aren't you? Aziraphale hesitated. There is that, yes. You see a wile and you thwart, am I right? Broadly. Actually, I encourage humans to do the actual thwarting, because of inevitably, you understand. Sorry, but I have to sleep now. It's midnight here, getting too sleepy. That's quite alright. Please do take care of yourselves. Sorry I couldn't be able to stay for longer. I appreciate you coming in. Thank you very much for the follow. It's always lovely to see new people here. I hope you have a good rest of your night. And yes, please do take care. Thank you very much for joining us today, Apoxia. The bottom line. Yes, it's that. Well, if you're sure, said Crowley. No doubt about it. Crowley looked up slyly. Then you can't be certain, correct me if I'm wrong, you can't be certain that thwarting it isn't part of the divine plan too. I mean, you're supposed to thwart the wiles of the evil ones at every turn, aren't you? Aziraphale hesitated. There is that, yes. You see a wile, you thwart, am I right? Broadly. Actually, I encourage humans to do the actual thwarting because of inevitability, you understand. Right. So all you've got to do is thwart. Because if I know anything, said Crowley urgently, it's that the birth is just the start. It's the upbringing that's important. It's the influences. Otherwise, the child will never learn to use its powers. He hesitated. At least not necessarily as intended. Certainly our side won't mind me thwarting you, said Aziraphale thoughtfully. They won't mind that at all. Right. It'd be a real feather in your wing. Crowley gave the angel an encouraging smile. What will happen to the child if it doesn't get a satanic upbringing, though, said Aziraphale. Probably nothing. It'll never know. But genetics? Don't tell me from genetics. What have they got to do with it, said Crowley. Look at Satan. Created as an angel, grows up to be the great adversary. Hey, if you're going to go on about genetics, you might as well say the kid will grow up to be an angel. After all, his father was really big in heaven in the old days. Saying he'll grow up to be a demon just because his dad became one is like saying a mouse with its tail cut off will give birth to tailless mice. No, upbringing is everything. Take it from me. And without unopposed satanic influences, well, at worst, hell will have to start all over again, and the Earth gets at least another 11 years. It's got to be worth something, hasn't it? Now Aziraphale was looking thoughtful again. You're saying the child isn't evil of itself, he said thoughtfully. Potentially evil. Potentially good too, I suppose. Just this huge, powerful potentiality waiting to be shaped, said Crowley. He shrugged. Anyway, Why are we here talking about this good and evil? They're just names for sides. We know that. I suppose it's got to be worth a try, said the angel. Crowley nodded encouragingly. Agreed, said the demon, holding out his hand. The angel shook it, cautiously. It'll certainly be more interesting than saints, he said. And it'll be for the child's own good, in the long run, said Crowley. We'll be godfathers, sort of. Overseeing his religious upbringing, you might say. Aziraphale beamed. You know, I'd never have thought of that, he said. Godfathers? Well, I'll be damned. It's not too bad, said Crowley, when you get used to it. She was known as Scarlet. At that time, she was selling arms, although it was beginning to lose its savour. She never stuck at one job for long. 300-400 years at the outside. You didn't want to get in a rut. Her hair was true auburn, neither ginger nor brown, but deep and burnished copper colour, and it fell to her waist in tresses that men would kill for, and indeed often had. Her eyes were a startling orange. She looked 25, and always had. She had a dusty, brick-red truck full of assorted weaponry and an almost unbelievable skill at getting it across any border in the world. She had been on her way to a small West African country where a minor civil war was in progress to make a delivery which would, with any luck, turn it into a major civil war. Unfortunately, the truck had broken down far beyond even her ability to repair it. And she was very good with machinery these days. She was in the middle of a city at the time. Nominally a city. It was the size of an English country town, or translated into American terms, a shopping mall. The city in question was the capital of Kumbulaland, an African nation which had been at peace for the last 300 years. For about 30 years it was Sir Humphrey Clarkson land, but since the country had absolutely no mineral wealth and the strategic importance of a banana, it was accelerated towards self-government and almost unseemingly haste. Kumbulaland was poor, perhaps, and undoubtedly boring, but peaceful in various tribes. Its various tribes got along with one another quite happily, had long since beaten their swords into plowshares. A fight had broken out in the city square in 1952 between a drunken ox driver and an equally drunken ox thief. People were still talking about it. Scarlet yawned in the heat. She fanned her head with her broad-brimmed hat, left the useless truck in the dusty street, and wandered into a bar. She brought a can of beer, drained it, then grinned at the barman. I got a truck, needs repairing, she said. Anyone around I can talk to? The barman grinned white and huge and expansively. He'd been impressed by the way she drank her beer. Only Nathan, miss, but Nathan has gone back to Kaonda to see his father-in-law's farm. Scarlet brought another beer. So this Nathan, any idea when he'll be back? Perhaps next week. Perhaps 2 weeks' time, dear. Reen, why are you putting me in jail for? What have I done to deserve going to jail? Shocking. So rude, so rude. Here I am, just innocently reading, and I get put in jail. I can read in jail. Yes, I suppose I can, can't I, Reen? So this Nathan, any idea when he'll be back? Perhaps next week? Perhaps 2 weeks' time, dear lady. Oh, that Nathan, he is a scamp, no? He leaned forward. You travelling alone, miss? He said. Yes. Could be dangerous. Some funny people on the roads these days. Bad men. Not local boys, he added quickly. Scarlet raised a perfect eyebrow. Despite the heat, he shivered. Thanks for the warning, Scarlet purred. Her voice sounded like something that lurks in the long grass, visible only by the twitching of its ears until something young and tender wobbles by. She tipped her hat to him and strolled outside. The hot African sun beat down her. Her truck sat in the street with a cargo of guns and ammunition and landmines. It wasn't going anywhere. Scarlet stared at the truck. The Vulture was sitting on its roof. It had travelled 300 miles with Scarlet so far. It was belching quietly. She looked around the street. A couple of women chatted on a street corner. A bored market vendor sat in front of a heap of coloured gauze, fanning the flies. A few children played lazily in the dust. What the hell, she said quietly. I could do with a holiday anyway. That was Wednesday. By Friday, the city was a no-go area. By the following Tuesday, the economy of Kumbololand was shattered. 20,000 people were dead, including the barman, shot by the rebels while storming the market barricades. Almost 100,000 people were injured. All of Scarlet's assorted weapons had fulfilled the function for which they had been created, and the Vulture had died of greasy degeneration. Scarlet was already on the last train out of the country. It was time to move on, she felt. She'd been doing arms for too damn long. She wanted a change. As a new... something with openings. She quite fancied herself as a newspaper journalist. A possibility. She fanned herself with her hat and crossed her long legs in front of her. Farther down the track, a fight broke out. Scarlet grinned. People were always fighting, over her and around her. It was rather sweet, really. Sable had black hair, a trim black beard, and he had just decided to go corporate. He did drinks with his accountant. How are we doing, Franny? He asked her. 12 million copies sold so far, can you believe it? They were doing drinks in a restaurant called Top of the Sixes, on top of 666 Fifth Avenue, New York. This was something that amused Sable ever so slightly. From the restaurant windows you could see the whole of New York at night, and the rest of New York could see the huge red 666s that adorned all four sides of the building. Of course, it was just another street number. If you started counting, you'd be bound to get to it eventually, but you had to smile. I look at chat, confused. I glance at Jay, nearly wake my parents. I know, Emmy, I know. Reen has decided that I need to be put in a jail cell. It's very much uncalled for. But here we are. Sable and his accountant had just come from a small, expensive, particularly exclusive restaurant in Greenwich Village, where the cuisine was entirely novel. A string bean, a pea, and a sliver of chicken breast, aesthetically arranged on a square china plate. Sable had invented it the last time he'd been in Paris. His accountant had polished her meat, and... Thank you, Reen. Thank you for the hugs. I appreciate that. I love that emote. Definitely one of my favourite emotes that we've had. Reen, don't throw things at me. So rude, so rude. A string bean, a pea, and a sliver of chicken breast, aesthetically arranged on a square china plate. Sable had invented it the last time he'd been in Paris. His accountant had polished her meat and 2 veg off in under 50 seconds, and had spent the rest of the meal staring at her plate, the cutlery, from time to time at her fellow diners. Wow, sending me back to jail. So rude, so rude. If anything, Green, I feel like maybe you're the one who should be in the cage, Why? Well, I could think of a few good reasons. Where did we get to? Oh, yes. His accountant had polished her meat and 2 veg off in under 50 seconds, and had spent the rest of the meal staring at the plate, the cutlery, and from time to time at her fellow diners, in a manner that suggested that she was wondering what they'd taste like, which was in fact the case. It had amused Sable enormously. He toyed with his Perrier. 12 million, huh? That's pretty good. That's great. So, we're going corporate. Time to blow the big one, am I right? California, I think? I want factories, restaurants, the whole schmear. We'll keep the publishing arm, but it's time to diversify. Yeah? Franny nodded. Sounds good, Sable. We'll need... She was interrupted by a skeleton. A skeleton in a Dior dress, with tan skin stretched almost to snapping point over the delicate bones of the skull. The skeleton had long blonde hair, perfectly made up lips. She looked like the person mothers around the world point to, muttering, "That's what'll happen to you if you don't eat your greens." She looked like a famine relief poster with style. She was New York's top fashion model, and she was holding a book. Get to share with the class, Fox. I don't know. Maybe I should. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I'll just keep an eye on you from here, eh? She was New York's top fashion model, and she was holding a book. She said, excuse me, Mr. Sable. I hope you don't mind me intruding, but your book, it changed my life. I was wondering, would you mind signing it for me? She stared imploringly at him, with eyes deep sunk in ginormously eyeshadowed sockets. Sable nodded graciously and took the book from her. It was not surprising that she had recognized him. His dark grey eyes stared out from his photo on the foil embossed cover. D-Plan Dieting, the Slim Yourself Beautiful book was called. The diet book of the century. How do you spell your name? He asked. Cheryl. 2 R's, 1 Y, 1 L. You remind me of an old friend, he told her as he wrote swiftly and carefully on the title page. There you go. Glad you like it. Always good to meet a fan. What he'd written was this. Cheryl. A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. Good. I'm glad you think so. Guys, we have ads coming in 2 minutes time. When the ads come in, we will go for a quick ad break. We'll go grab a drink. Please do stretch your legs just while we're on the BRB screen. And yeah. It's from the Bible, he told her. She closed the book reverently and backed away from the table, thanking Sable. He didn't know how much this meant to her. He had changed her life. Truly, he had. He had never actually earned the medical degree, he claimed, since there hadn't been any universities in those days. But Sable could see she was starving to death. He gave her a couple of months at the outside. D-plan. Handle your weight problems terminally. Franny was stabbing at her laptop computer hungrily, planning the next phase in Sable's transformation. Sable had brought her the machine as a personal present. It was very, very expensive, very powerful, and ultra slim. He liked slim things. There's a European outfit we can buy into for the initial toehold. Holdings Incorporated. That'll give us the Liechtenstein tax base. Now, if we channel funds out through the Caymans into Luxembourg and from there to Switzerland, we could pay for the factories and... But Sable was no longer listening. He was remembering the exclusive little restaurant. It had occurred to him that he had never seen so many rich people so hungry. Sable grinned, the honest open grin that goes with job satisfaction and purple and perfect pure eyes. He was just killing time until the main event, but he was killing it in such exquisite ways. Time, and sometimes people. I'm applying for ambassador application for GamerUps. Soon. Thank you. Reen, I hope that all goes well. Let us know what happens. And thank you very much for the reminder about the ads. Before we start the next part, I shall put us onto the BRB section. So guys, please use this opportunity to go grab a drink, stretch your legs, do anything you need to do. I will see you all back here very, very shortly.
That's fine. We may have actually just clipped out of bounds a bit. I think I broke the game. Oh no. We've totally clipped out of the game. Oh, how can I get out of here? Oh god, yeah, we oh god. Oh god. Guys, I've broken it. Oh god, I've broken it. This is fine.
If you do not appreciate it, we can move on. I will not dwell on a rejected gift.
Oh wait, is that Twitch stuff? Oh my god. So Twitch staff, sorry guys. Ignore the ignore the eye stabbing. That's completely accidental. Whoopsie guys. I feel like it's tough to ignore these stuff. Yeah, it's fine. Wait, was I followed? Oh, Nico. I didn't realize you were a staff member. Please don't blame me for stabbing myself. It's so bad. Welcome in. Yes, appreciate you being here.
Here. Get out of here. No, you're not getting anything from me
come
tonight.
here,
No.
Reem. Come
You cannot butter me up. No.
Come here.
No, you got me backed up in a corner. Oh no, Chad. Help me. Help me, he's got me backed up in a corner. Oh no, this is so tragic.
Oh yeah, you seem really broken up.
What am I gonna do?
I could do the anime trope, be like the...
Oh.
Oh hey. You good?
Wow, spicy.
Wow.
Look, Chat's feeling uncomfortable.
You did this. You started this.
Okay, it's fine.
Let me try and do. Hang on. Give me 2 seconds. Wait. Hey guys, wait, where have I got loading? No, you just ruined my intro. God damn it.
How? Why? I have so many questions!
I did
Did you
not.
see that, Chat? Hey!
Now I lifted you up.
Back.
Oh, don't you? What are you doing? Stop it.
They're going!
No.
They're
No.
going!
Let me kidnap you. Let me kidnap
No
you.
head pass for you then. No.
What?
No head pass for you.
Harsh. Uncalled for.
You have been a worthy adversary, but unfortunately I'm a spoon.
Oh, I'm a spoon. I read the second word of the first word. Not spoon. We're not spooning. No.
I must soon put you to death.
I'm in the way.
No, you're not.
Should
You're fine. No, you're fine.
Are you sure?
Yes,
I take,
I'm
like, the
sure.
whole
No, you're not. You're fine. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up.
Don't tell me to shut up.
Because you're doubting yourself, and if you doubt yourself, I'm going to tell you to shut up.
Why,
Okay.
Why did I think you said daddy?
Wait, what? Who said daddy? Oh, I said doubting yourself. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm your sugar daddy or anything, but
Shut
you
your
know,
mouth. You are not.
If Olympus, if your mother discovers
do you blip?
what happened,
Blip.
not even Zeus, not even
Well, if I'm giving you so much disrespect, then there would be no chance of you dumping subs on me tonight. Cause as a sugar baby, as you say I am, I shouldn't be disrespecting
Confession,
you.
confession, confession. That's confession. That's confession. 100%. Clip
It's not
that.
a
Clip
confession.
that. Clip that. Emmy. Clip,
This is
clip,
not a
clip, clip,
confession.
clip, clip
This
that.
is not
Clip
a
that. Clip
confession.
that. Clip it. Clipping it. Good job, Ronan. Thank you, Ronan. Nope, 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 nope. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Nope, don't like that. Nope. Oh, God. Yeah. Yeah. Don't like that. You did this to me. You.
Yes.
That, play the bullfrog there. I don't have many cards. I need to break open that one.
Okay, thank you very much for bearing with us through the ad break. We now have no more ads for the rest of the stream. Right. Where did we get to? Sometimes he was called White, or Blank, or Albus, or Chalky, or Weiss, or Snowy, or any one of 100 other names. His skin was pale, his hair a faded blonde, his eyes light grey. He was somewhere in his 20s at a casual glance, and a casual glance was all anyone ever gave him. He was almost entirely unmemorable. Unlike his two colleagues, he could never settle down in one job for a very long time. He had had all manner of interesting jobs in lots of interesting places. He had worked at the Chernobyl power station, and at Windscale, and at 3 Mile Island, always in minor jobs that weren't very important. He had been a minor but valued member of a number of scientific research establishments. He had helped to design the petrol engine and plastics and the ring pull can. He could turn his hand to anything. Nobody really noticed him. He was unobtrusive. His presence was cumulative. If you thought about it carefully, you could figure out he had to have been doing something, had to have been somewhere. Maybe he even spoke to you. But he was easy to forget, was Mr. White. At this time, he was working as deckhand on an old oil tanker heading towards Tokyo. The captain was drunk in his cabin. The first mate was in the head. The second mate was in the galley. That was pretty much it for the crew. The ship was almost completely automated. There wasn't much a person could do. However, if a person just happened to press the emergency cargo release switch on the bridge, the automatic systems would take care of releasing huge quantities of black sludge into the sea, millions of tons of crude oil with devastating effect on the birds, fish, vegetation, animals, and humans of the region. Of course, there were dozens of fail-safe interlocks and foolproof safety backups, but what the hell, there always were. Afterwards, there was a huge amount of argument as to exactly whose fault it was. In the end, it was left unresolved. The blame was apportioned equally. Neither the captain, the first mate, nor the second mate ever worked again. For some reason, nobody gave much of a thought to Seaman White, who was already halfway to Indonesia on a tramp steamer piled high with rusting metal barrels of a particularly toxic weed killer. Welcome back. Thank you, Reen. I appreciate it. And there was another. He was in the square in Cumberland, and he was in the restaurants, and he was in the fish, and in the air, and in the barrels of weed killer. He was on the roads, and in houses, and in palaces, and in hovels. There was nowhere that he was a stranger. There was no getting away from him. He was doing what he did best, and what he was doing was what he was. He was not waiting. He was working. Harriet Dowling returned home with her baby, which, on the advice of Sister Faith Prolix, who was more persuasive than Sister Mary, and with the telephonic agreement of her husband, she had named Warlock. The cultural attaché returned home a week later and pronounced the baby the spit of his side of the family. He also had his secretary advertise in The Lady for a Nanny. Crowley had seen Mary Poppins on television one Christmas. Indeed, behind the scenes, Crowley had had a hand in most television, although it was on the invention of the game show that he truly prided himself. He toyed with the idea of a hurricane as an effective and incredibly stylish way of disposing of the queue of nannies that would certainly form, or possibly stack up in a holding pattern outside the cultural attaché's Regent Park residence. He contented himself with a wildcat tube strike, and when the day came, only one nanny turned up. She wore a knit tweed suit and discreet pearl earrings. Something about her might have said nanny, but it said it in an undertone of the sort employed by British butlers in a certain type of American film. It also coughed discreetly and muttered that she could well be the sort of nanny who advertises unspecified but strangely explicit services in certain magazines. Her flat shoes crunched up the gravel drive, and a grey dog padded silently by her side, white flecks of saliva dripping from its jaw. Its eyes glinted scarlet, and it glanced from side to side hungrily. She reached the heavy wooden door, smiled to herself, a brief satisfied flicker, and rang the bell. It donged gloomily. The door was opened by a butler, as they say, of the old school. A night school just off the Tottenham Court Road, run by an elderly actor who had played butlers and gentlemen's gentlemen in films and television and on the stage since the 1920s. "I am Nanny Ashtoreth," she told him, "and this," she continued, while the grey dog at her side eyed the butler carefully, working out, perhaps, where it would bury the bones, "is Rover." She left the dog in the garden and passed her interview with flying colours, and Miss Dowling led the nanny to see her new charge. She smiled unpleasantly. "What a delightful child," she said. "He'll be wanting a little tricycle soon." By one of those coincidences, another new member of staff arrived the same afternoon. He was the gardener, and it turned out he was amazingly good at his job. No one quite worked out why this should be the case, since he never seemed to pick up a shovel and made no effort to rid the garden of the sudden flocks of birds that filled it and settled all over him at every opportunity. He just sat in the shade while around him residents' gardens bloomed and bloomed. Warlock used to come down to see him when he was old enough to toddle, and Nanny was doing whatever it was she did on her afternoon off. "This here's Brother Slug," the gardener would tell him, "and this tiny little creature is Sister Potato Weevil. Remember, Warlock, as you walk your way through the highways and byways of life's rich and fulsome path, to have love and reverence for all living things." "Nanny said that living things is a fit only to be ground under my heels, Miss Francis," said little Warlock, stroking Brother Slug, and then wiping his hand conscientiously on his Kermit the Frog overall. "You don't listen to that woman," Francis would say. "You listen to me." At night, Nanny Ashtoreth sang nursery rhymes to Warlock. "Oh, the grand old Duke of York, he had 10,000 men. He marched them up to the top of the hill and crushed all the nations of the world and brought them under the rule of Satan's arm master. And this little piggy went to Hades, this little piggy stayed home, this little piggy ate raw and steaming human flesh, this little piggy violated virgins, and this little piggy clambered over a heap of dead bodies to get to the top. He avoided mentioning that Attila was nice to his mother, or that Vlad Dracul was punctuous about saying his prayers every day. Brother Francis the gardener says that I must selflessly practice virtue and love to all living things, said Warlock. You don't listen to that man, darling, the nanny would whisper as she tucked him into his little bed. You listen to me and listen to me. And so it went. The arrangement worked perfectly. A no-score win. Nanny Ashtoreth bought the child a little tricycle, but could never persuade him to ride it inside the house, and he was scared of Rover. In the background, Crowley and Aziraphale met on the top of bushes and in art galleries and at concerts, compared notes and smiled. Okay, you've submitted. Hope you get it. I hope you get it too, Reen. I hope you get it too. I wish you all the luck. When Warlock was 6, his nanny left, taking Rover with her. The gardener handed in his resignation on the same day. Neither of them left with quite the same spring in their step with which they'd arrived. Warlock now found himself being educated by 2 tutors. Mr. Harrison taught him about Attila the Hun, Vlad Dracul, and the darkness intrinsic in the human spirit. He tried to teach Warlock how to make rabble-rousing political speeches to sway the hearts and mindsets of multitudes. Mr. Cortese taught him about Florence Nightingale, except for the bits about syphilis. Abraham Lincoln and the appreciation of art. He tried to teach him about free will, self-denial, and doing unto others as you would wish them to do unto you. They both read to the child extensively from the Book of Revelation. Reen, why are you bonking me? So mean, so mean. Honestly. So uncalled for. Never mean, so mean. In fact, one might even say that you're being bad, Reen. Are you being bad, Reen? Always. You know this. Well, then that means that you're a very, very bad girl. Doesn't it? They both read to the child extensively from the Book of Revelation. Despite their best efforts, Warlock showed a regrettable tendency to be good at maths. Neither of his tutors was entirely satisfied with his progress. When Warlock was 10, he liked baseball. He liked plastic toys that transformed into other plastic toys, indistinguishable from the first set of plastic toys, except to the trained eye. He liked his stamp collection, he liked banana-flavoured bubblegum, he liked comics and cartoons, and his BMX bike. Crowley was troubled. They were in the cafeteria of the British Museum, another refuge for all weary-foot soldiers of the Cold War. At the table to their left, 2 ramrod-straight Americans in suits were surreptitiously handing over a briefcase full of deniable dollars to a small dark woman in sunglasses. At the table on their right was the deputy head of MI7, and the local KGB section officer argued over who got to keep the receipt for the tea and buns. Jay reading us a bedtime story. I am indeed, Goldie. Welcome on in. I appreciate you being here. Could say that. Exactly, Amy. Reen, thank you very much for the promo. I appreciate it. Crowley finally said what he had not even dared to think for the last decade. "If you ask me," Crowley said to his counterpart, "he's too bloody normal." Aziraphale popped another deviled egg into his mouth and washed it down with coffee. He dabbed his lips with a paper napkin. "It's my good influence," he beamed, "or rather, credit where credit's due, that of my little team." Crowley shook his head. "I'm taking that into account. Look, by now he should be trying to warp the world around him to his own desires, shaping it in his own image, that kind of stuff. Well, not actually trying. He'll do it without even knowing it. Have you seen any evidence of that happening?" "Well, no, but by now he should be a powerhouse of raw forces. Is he?" "Well, not as far as I've noticed, but he's too normal." Crowley drummed his fingers on the table. Devil egg and coffee. Yes, it's not a common combination, I'll be honest, Reen. It's not something I've ever tried. "I don't like it. There's something wrong. I just can't put my finger on it." Aziraphale helped himself to Crowley's slice of angel cake. "Well, he's a growing boy, and of course, there's been the heavily influence in his life." Crowley sighed. "I just hope he'll know how to cope with the Hellhound, that's all." Aziraphale raised one eye. "Hellhound?" "On his 11th birthday, received a message from Hell last night. The message had come during the Golden Girls, one of Crowley's favourite television programs. Rose had taken 10 minutes to deliver what could have been quite a brief communication, and by the time non-infernal service was restored, Crowley had quite lost the thread of the plot. They're sending him a Hellhound to pad by his side, guard him from all harm. Biggest one they've got. Won't people remark on the sudden appearance of a huge black dog? Won't people remark on the sudden appearance of a huge black dog? Its parents, for a start." Crowley stood up suddenly, treading on the foot of a Bulgarian cultural attaché who was talking animatedly to the keeper of Her Majesty's antiques. "Nobody's going to notice anything out of the ordinary. It's reality, Angel, and young Warlock can do whatever he wants to that, and whether he knows it or not." "What does he do?" "This dog? Does it have a name?" "I told you. On his 11th birthday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it'll sort of home in on him. He's supposed to name it himself. It's very important that he names it himself. It gives it its purpose. It'll be Killer or Terror, or Stalks by Night, I expect." "Are you going to be there?" asked the Angel nonchalantly. "Wouldn't miss it for the world," said Crowley. "I do hope there's nothing too wrong with the child. We'll see how he reacts to the dog anyway. That should tell us something. I hope he'll send it back, or be frightened. If he does name it, we've lost. He'll have all his powers, and Armageddon is just around the corner." "I think," said Aziraphale, sipping his wine, which had just ceased to be a slightly vinegary Pujara and had become a quite acceptable but rather surprised Chateau Lafite, 1875. "I think I'll see you there." Okay, I think that's a good place to leave it. We've just got to the end of the current chapter. I'll mark the place in the book so that we don't lose it. And yes. I was going to say, we won't go too late tonight. Unfortunately, I have to go into the office tomorrow, so I need to get plenty of rest. But yes, thank you very much. I appreciate everybody for coming in today. I appreciate all the support, and to my 2 new followers, very grateful for you guys coming in. And yes, I hope everybody here has a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are in the world. I hope you all take care of yourselves. Reen, thank you very much for coming in doing the promo. I appreciate it. Emmy, thank you for your lurking. I appreciate that too. And as I said, one more follow for your goal. Yes, one more follow for the new goal. Of course, I appreciate it. Thank you, Reen. Thank you. You're so sweet. I really do appreciate you. Thank you. And yes, as I said, I will hopefully see you all on Wednesday, where we will be playing some more Hollow Knight. So, looking forward to that. Anyway, in the meantime, please make sure you're taking care of yourselves. Make sure you look after yourselves both physically and mentally. And I will catch you all very, very soon. Take it easy, guys. Bye.